What a lot of people seemingly don't know about willpower is that it's a finite resource. It can be seen a lot like money. Every time you say no to temptation, you spend some of that. It costs you a bit of your willpower. And after saying no multiple times, especially in quick succession, most people will eventually give in to their wants. And this isn't really like a weakness thing, it's just what psychology has discovered about human genome. Many people think they can brute force their way into self-improvement. And if they stumble or fall during their journey, they assume that they're weak, that they're just not cut out for this. Now, when your perception of willpower is binary, meaning you got it or you don't, stumbling into your journey becomes kind of alarming, right? Because one of the things that often occurs during this is the what the hell effect. Now, the what the hell effect is a psychological phenomenon that happens when people give in to temptation and their willpower wanes. And I'll give you an example. Let's say your goal is to work out every other day. That said, on the day you were supposed to work out, you get really busy and you just simply don't have the time. Fast forward to the next day, or rather to the next time you're supposed to work out again. And you recall you've already missed one session, right? And today you really don't feel like it. So you say, what the hell, and skip that day too. This behavior quickly snowballs into missing multiple sessions until you simply give up on the goal. That's the what the hell effect. So far, I've said that willpower is finite and that once it runs out, many people fall into this effect. Does that imply that you're doomed to fail? Are you doomed to fall to the same cycle of determination and failure? Not at all. First, I'd like to address something. Say you had a specific goal in mind, like the whole working out thing, right? But you failed several times. I'm not talking about once or twice. I mean, you keep getting into this inevitable loop of trying and giving up. Furthermore, you're not progressing, right? Whatever knowledge, skill, or strength you've gained gets lost when you give up and take those month-long breaks before trying again. You gain skills just to lose them. And when this happens, there's a painful but necessary question you need to ask yourself. Why am I doing this? What am I trying to achieve? And is the end result worth it? When this happens, the appropriate thing to consider is either modifying your goal or quitting entirely. And despite what modern conventions might tell you, giving up doesn't always have to come with shame. Sometimes it's the wisest thing to do. I'll give you an example from my own life to better illustrate. I love the bass guitar. It's my favorite instrument, and I don't really think any other instrument comes close to sounding as cool as the bass. When I'm listening to music, I place a lot of my attention to the songs like bass riffs, for instance. And because of this, I bought myself a bass. And although I have a deep appreciation for this instrument, my practice sessions were very infrequent. I was enthusiastic about learning, and even if I enjoyed the sessions, when I actually did commit, whenever it really came time to start again and again, starting new sessions, I put them off very often, I would say I needed to continue playing bass, and then I would keep putting it off. And for years, I went into this cycle of practicing consistently for a bit and then just dropping bass altogether for months. So basically, most of the skills I picked up would get lost after those long breaks. And this applies to most scenarios where you're trying to self-improve or acquire skills. Think of all the time you're wasting trying to improve, only to lose interest in the cycle. Think of all the suffering you go through trying to improve, only to quit. When you really consider this, you gotta ask yourself, is this thing actually right for me? What am I doing all this for? When this happens, sometimes it's just best to quit. I understand that if I were to pick up bass again, I'd probably be consistent for a little bit, just to become complacent again. And I'm aware I'd be wasting my time ultimately. I can give myself all of like the platitudes that no, this time will be different, but my history doesn't really suggest that. So I simply decided I won't do it anymore. Think of all the time and suffering you can save by realizing that most of the shame that comes from giving up is just socially constructed. Now, before you completely quit something you want to improve, it's best to see if you can modify your goals, of course, right? Maybe you struggle to work out every other day. And so maybe it's better to just start with twice a week. It really just depends how inconsistent you are. If you're wildly inconsistent, you might have to modify further. But, maybe you're someone who just slips up occasionally here and there. And, that doesn't really need to modify the goal because of just some slip up here and there. That's fine too. I'm talking about like chronic inconsistency. Maybe it's best to quit certain goals altogether. It really depends on just how frequent your commitment is. And there really is no shame in that. All this is just leveraging risk, costs, and reward. So you really gotta ask yourself, when you're breaking cycles often, why are you even doing this in the first place? Is it really right for you?